Well, with us right now is the board president of United Mutual, Juanita Skillman. Good to see you, Juanita.
Nice to be here this morning.
And of course, your meeting was held this past Tuesday, your regular board meeting.
It was. And it was our first meeting in our new boardroom.
Yes.
And for the most part, it went very, very smoothly. We still have a few quirks that have to be worked out on our wonderful new touch screens. And for some of our members, the touch wasn't quite right, but yes. Chuck Holland was there to help us through it, as with, I have to give great kudos to our two assistant corporate secretaries, Leslie Cameron and Corinne. They both did a great job, and theirs is the bulk of the technology, because they have to be taking minutes and watching the screens and seeing what people do, what buttons and whatever.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah, I think it's going to be great, and it's just getting used to it. That's all it's going to be. But you're right. Both we've had 2 meetings so far using that, and it's gone pretty darn well. Right.
Yeah. And we get a little bit better every time. So that's going to be really good. We started out, of course, admonishing everybody that in our beautiful new boardroom, especially our nice new carpeting, that we now have a rule: if you have coffee, we still have a coffee bar. Excuse me, but if you have coffee, you have to put a lid on it.
Yes.
No open cups, because we don't want any spills on our new carpet.
Yeah, I agree.
And
definitely.
It's a change for some people, but I think it'll go over very
right, and
well
the lids are out there.
Right, the lids are out there. Little sign saying, please put a lid on it.
Yes.
So I think that will work out really well.
Definitely.
I also thanked, and again, I would like to thank the city of Laguna Woods for letting us use their council chambers for the last 3 months while we got the new boardroom done. Right. And that worked out really well.
Yeah.
Now, we start out every time with our consent calendar, and I'd like to take just a minute to explain what the consent calendar is for people who
I think that's
may not know. Most of our work on the boards is done in committee, and when committees go through it in detail and come up with a recommendation, that's the recommendation that usually goes on the consent calendar, because there's no use duplicating the work that the committee has already done. Now, that doesn't mean if there isn't something that a board member feels needs to have further discussion on the board that they can't pull it from the consent calendar. We put it on the regular agenda and talk about it. But for the most part, it is endorsing the things that are done in our committees. We had 6 alterations that were approved this time on our consent calendar. We had 7 liens. Now, I know we come on every time and say we have a fantastically low delinquency rate, but there are some, and we did have 7 people who had liens put against their units for not paying assessments this time. And so it's just really important that everybody keep up with their assessments. The big thing that we did, if you will, was the resolution on limiting the use of common area. And that came up at our April meeting.
Exactly.
And since it requires 30 days going out to members, a 30-day notification, and there wasn't 30 days between our April and our May meetings, it came up at this meeting to be finalized, and it was approved 8-2. So that will go into effect immediately. We have 3 things that were put on the calendar for the first time that will go into our notification. And again, it's not going to be 30 days because we don't have 30 days between our June and July meetings. So they will be finalized, we hope, at the August meeting. And one of those was revisions to the drone policy. There's been a lot of talk about, and GRF approved it, but it has to be approved by the mutuals as well. And so we did first reading on that. We also did first reading on a new addition to a qualifier for subleasing. And basically all it says is you cannot advertise for less than the 90-day, which is the approved period for subleasing. And it specifically calls out Airbnb and VBO and Craigslist and all of this. And so you cannot advertise your unit for a sublease that's less than the approved 90 days. And the other thing that went on was we made a little bit of a change to the financial requirements, and we took out something that was really outdated, that was put in there a number of years ago for financial reasons, that basically said if you have a loan, ours are all through NCB, and you qualified for the loan, that the board had the right, they didn't have to, but they could consider waiving the financial qualifications.
Okay.
Well, we felt that qualifying for a loan and our financial qualifications to have enough money to live in the village were two different things, and so we took that particular thing out.
Okay.
We approved the new task force on parking. We had a parking committee for a while, and they did a really good job, but there's been a lot that's come back and forth, and so this committee has done such a great job. They have gone out early in the morning, I'm talking like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and surveyed every single one of our cul-de-sacs to see empty carports, empty guest spaces, all of that kind of thing, to try to get a real handle on do we really have a parking problem.
Right.
And what they found is that we do in certain areas, but it's only limited to certain cul-de-sacs, and other cul-de-sacs have no parking problem whatsoever. So we're still getting that information, digesting that information, and deciding if we need to go forward with something or if what we've got is fine to stand. One of the things I'm really happy to announce is we selected Elizabeth Arcadi to be our Select Audit Committee representative, and I must say her qualifications are outstanding, and I think she will be a great addition to the Select Audit Committee. We approved our appointments for both the United Committees and the GRF committees, and then we went to the election schedule, and I'd like to take a minute to talk about the election schedule.
It's not too long from now.
No, it isn't. We start with the mailing of the meeting notice, which is July 10th, and that's less than a month away. And that will go to all of our members saying we're going to have an election, and this is what the dates are going to be. Your meeting notice goes out saying that, and that is also our record date for voting is the 1st of August. Now what that means is you have to be a member in good standing as of that date in order to receive a ballot. The ballots are mailed on August 28th, and they have to be back on September 27th, and we will count the ballots at a special meeting, televised always, on September 29th. And then our annual meeting will take place on October the 10th, and we'll have a little bit of a change this year. The last few years, we've had our annual meeting in Clubhouse 1, and Clubhouse 3 in the auditorium. And because things are televised these days, we don't get as many people who come out physically.
Right.
And so we're going to have it in the boardroom.
Okay.
We still have room for people to come out and see it in person, but if you want to just watch it on TV6, that works as well. Excuse me, VTV. I can't get the new names. Well, we're still working on that.
We're still working on that, yes.
But it will be televised. And then to finish up, the last things that we had were our resale and monthly leasing report. And the resale report showed that our average price volume was up 9.6% over last year, and the resale price was up 13.1% over last year. And our subleasing report held steady at 8%. So we're doing pretty good with that. But now we've been working, as you know, really hard for the last couple of years to keep that pretty flat.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have. So I'm
that's really good.
Pleased with what we're able to do there. So that was our meeting on Tuesday. Right,
and you know, we often talk about that when people have kind of ideas, concerns, whatever they have, their first line that they should do is come to a committee meeting.
Absolutely. As I say, that's
Yeah.
where the work is done at the
Yeah.
committee, and that's where we hear all of the input and the research that's been done
Right.
and everything. We don't make snap decisions about anything. It all goes through sometimes 2-3 month process
Right.
with the committees, and questions asked and questions come back. And so by the time it gets to us on the consent calendar, it's been pretty thoroughly reviewed.
Right, and so that's where they need to go ahead of time, and they may have to find out which is the appropriate committee that will fit their needs, but that's where it starts.
That's where it starts.
Because often people come up in the meeting, which they're, as you welcome them in the board meeting, but the response often will be, well, you know what, you really need to take this to the committee first.
Right, or it was,
Yeah.
this is why it was decided in the committee.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. It's not there yet, but I know Brad has talked about it on TV and in our
Yeah.
reports, that with our new Granicus system, we're going to be able to get feedback from the members who can email or call in questions. And not during the board meeting,
Right.
but in advance, because the agenda and all of the materials will be out there online.
Exactly.
And they'll be able to look
Yeah.
at them, and if they have any questions or things that they want to do, then they can send those in. And that's going to be really nice, because we'll be able to not just have people stand up and talk to us, but get it from the whole community.
Exactly. One quick question, you mentioned the election schedule, and this time around there'll be 4 opportunities,
Yes,
am I right?
there are 4 seats available on
Okay.
our board. I believe 2 of us, Cash Akakar and myself, will be running again. And there are 2 that are on there that have indicated so far that they are not going to run again. So,
Okay.
but there are 4 open seats, and we really want people to start thinking about
Yeah,
running.
exactly.
Because they have to get their candidate statements in July, August time frame.
Yeah, I think
And
it's yes.
I know that some of the clubs and are already starting to have meetings that give candidates the information about what it means to be a candidate.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have a wonderful Governance 101 and Governance 102 videos that are shown that we've put together the last couple of years and have been refined.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so anybody that's even thinking about running for the board should probably attend one of those meetings, find out what it's all about.
Exactly.
Put your name in.
All right, very good. Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And we'll see you again soon. And remember, the United meeting will be replayed next week, next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and we'll be right back.